The Valkyrie Dominion had conquered 17 star systems with minimal resistance. Their method was elegant in its simplicity. The Psychic Resonance Array, a marvel of engineering that emitted carefully calibrated waves directly into the collective consciousness of any sentient species. No war, no destruction of valuable infrastructure, just complete submission. Admiral Thaxos stood on the bridge of the Mindshaper, the flagship of the Dominion's expansion fleet. His elongated fingers tapped rhythmically against the crystalline control panel as he studied the third planet of this unremarkable yellow star. "Initial scans complete, Admiral," reported Lieutenant Oriel, her azure skin shimmering under the ambient light. "Civilization present, technological capability at threshold 7, approaching space exploration, but not yet interstellar." Thaxos nodded. "Perfect. Advanced enough to be useful, not advanced enough to pose any threat. Begin resonance protocol." The massive array beneath the ship hummed to life, its segments aligning with mathematical precision. Energy coursed through conduits designed to amplify the psychic signature that had subdued every species, from the insectoid Brakmar to the crystalline Zovians. The beam fired silently, invisibly, reaching toward the blue planet below. On Earth, it began as a whisper. At SETI headquarters in New Mexico, Dr. Marek Kalinov jolted upright in his chair. The instruments had detected something, a pattern unlike anything they'd seen before. Not random cosmic noise, but a coherent signal directed specifically at Earth. "Rodin, come look at this," he called to his colleague, who was half asleep in the adjacent monitoring station. Dr. Rodin Iversdotter blinked away her fatigue and joined him, her eyes widening as she processed the readings. "This can't be instrumental error. It's penetrating our atmosphere, spreading globally." Within hours, reports flooded in from around the world. Neuroscientists noted unusual brain-wave patterns in test subjects. Communications specialists detected interference across all spectrums. Military installations went on high alert. In Geneva, an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council convened. Representatives from every major nation gathered, tension thick in the air. "The signal appears to be intensifying," announced General Thaddeus Rook, chairman of the Joint Chiefs. "Our analysts believe it's attempting to interface with human consciousness." Defense Minister Ekaterina Volkov scoffed. "Interface? You mean control? This is clearly an attack." In orbit, Admiral Thaxos was growing concerned. The readouts were unusual. The resonance array was functioning perfectly, yet the expected submission pattern wasn't emerging from the population below. "Lieutenant, increase power by 30%, he ordered. "Admiral, we've never needed to increase power before," Oriel cautioned. "The baseline has always been sufficient." "These creatures are different somehow," Thaxos muttered. "Execute the order." The beam intensified. On Earth, millions experienced sudden headaches, momentary disorientation. Some collapsed. But then something unprecedented occurred. They adapted. In research facilities across the globe, scientists observed as human brains began generating counterwave patterns, instinctively shielding against the foreign intrusion. What had brought every other species to their knees was causing something entirely different in humans: resistance, then immunity. Dr. Kalinov stared at his readings in disbelief. "It's like watching an immune system respond to a virus. Our brains are building defenses in real time." In the Pentagon's Situation Room, analysts reported that the signal's effectiveness was diminishing rapidly. Whatever this was, whoever was behind it, they were failing. Admiral Thaxos stared at the monitoring screens in shock. For the first time in the Dominion's history of conquest, the psychic resonance array wasn't working. "Impossible," he whispered. The Valkyrie Dominion had never faced resistance. Their conquest protocol had no contingency for failure. As the psychic resonance array strained at maximum output, alarm indicators flashed across the Mindshaper's bridge. "Admiral," Lieutenant Oriel's voice trembled. "The array is overheating. Neural feedback from the planet's population is causing system instability." Admiral Thaxos paced, his 7-foot frame rigid with tension. "How? Every species has a collective consciousness vulnerability. It's a universal constant. Science Officer Dravix approached, his compound eyes reflecting the red warning lights. Initial analysis suggests these humans possess highly individualized neural patterns. They lack the psychic uniformity we exploit in other species. Preposterous, Thaxos snarled. Sentient evolution requires standardized neural architecture for species-wide communication. Apparently not for them, Dravix replied. Their minds are chaotic, unpredictably diverse. On Earth, the resistance was growing stronger. What began as instinctive neural adaptation was evolving into something more profound. Humans weren't just resisting. They were beginning to perceive the force behind the invasion. At MIT's Cognitive Science Department, Professor Naveen Thapar monitored brainwave patterns of volunteers experiencing the phenomenon. It's fascinating, he explained to military observers. As our brains adapt to filter out this signal, we're actually learning to interpret it, like developing an ear for a foreign language through immersion. Major Leontina Vasquez leaned forward. Are you saying we can understand what they're trying to tell us? Not exactly, Thapar replied. I'm saying we might be able to determine who they are and what they want. Even more importantly, how their technology works. In a classified facility beneath the Ural Mountains, Russian neurophysicist Dr. Bogdan Fedorovich made a breakthrough. By analyzing the signal pattern against known electromagnetic phenomena, he theorized that the invasion beam operated on principles similar to quantum entanglement, but with consciousness itself. The signal attempts to entangle human minds with a controlled external source, he explained to his team. But our neurological diversity creates too many variables for stable entanglement. This information, shared through international scientific channels, sparked a radical idea. If humans could understand the signal, could they send one back? At the CERN facility in Switzerland, scientists repurposed the Large Hadron Collider's powerful electromagnetic arrays. In California, Silicon Valley tech giants redirected satellite networks. Across China, massive radio telescope arrays reoriented toward the heavens. Admiral Thaxos was preparing retreat protocols when the unthinkable happened. Admiral, Oriel whispered, we're receiving a response. The bridge fell silent as a crude but unmistakable signal penetrated their communication systems. Humans, using the very principles of the psychic resonance array, had established contact. On the main screen, a face appeared, Dr. Kalinov, chosen as humanity's representative for his expertise in both astrophysics and neuroscience. We know you're there, he said simply. We know what you tried to do. We want to talk. Thaxos recovered quickly, his diplomatic training taking over. This is unprecedented. No species has ever. We are not like other species, Kalinov interrupted. And if you scan this transmission, you'll find we've embedded proof that we can not only resist your technology, but potentially redirect it. We suggest negotiations rather than further hostilities. In the Mindshaper's engineering bay, technicians confirmed the human's claim. The crude human signal contained elements that suggested a fundamental understanding of the array's principles and potential vulnerabilities in Valkyrie systems. Thaxos felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries of conquest. Fear. Prepare for diplomatic protocols, he ordered, his voice steady despite his inner turmoil. The Dominion Council must be informed. We have encountered something exceptional. The Geneva International Conference Center had never hosted delegates quite like these. Under unprecedented security, representatives from Earth's nations gathered to meet the Valkyrie diplomatic contingent. Admiral Thaxos entered flanked by his officers, their towering forms causing a ripple of murmurs through the assembly. The Valkyrie, with their iridescent skin and elegantly elongated limbs, looked disturbingly similar to humanity's mythological depictions of mind-controlling aliens, an irony not lost on the human delegates. United Nations Secretary-General Abimbola Okafor stepped forward. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to Earth, though not your earlier methods of introduction. Thaxos performed the Valkyrie gesture of acknowledgement, a fluid motion of his primary and secondary hands. The Dominion offers recognition of your species' unique capabilities. In 17 millennia of expansion, we have never encountered resistance to the harmonization process. Harmonization. General Rook scoffed. A polite term for subjugation. Science Officer Dravix activated a holographic display showing 17 different species across various worlds. You misunderstand. The resonance array unifies consciousness, eliminating conflict and creating stable, productive societies under Dominion guidance. Dr. Kalinov stepped forward. Without consent. Without choice. Choice is inefficient, Lieutenant Oriel responded. The 17 harmonized species now enjoy prosperity, technological advancement, and peace. Their neural patterns show universal contentment. Because you've rewritten their minds to feel content with servitude, Dr. Iversdotter countered. That's not peace, it's spiritual death. The negotiations continued for days. Humans demonstrated their growing understanding of Valkyrie technology, while the aliens revealed the extent of their interstellar empire. A stalemate emerged. The Valkyrie couldn't force compliance, but humans couldn't match their overall technological superiority. On the fourth day, Professor Thopper unveiled his team's research. We've identified why humans resist your control, he explained, displaying neural mapping comparisons. Our evolutionary path favored individual variation over collective unity. Our chaotic mental patterns, what you see as a flaw, create a natural defense against external psychic influence. Thaxos studied the data with growing fascination. Your species sacrificed the efficiency of unified thought for creativity. Precisely, confirmed Dr. Fedorovic. And we've discovered something else. Those 17 species you've harmonized, they all evolved with some form of natural telepathic connection. Their neural architecture was predisposed to external influence. A murmur swept through the human delegation as Dravix confirmed this assessment. The implications were staggering. The Valkyrie hadn't conquered superior species. They'd simply exploited a common evolutionary vulnerability. Secretary General Okafor leaned forward. Admiral Thaxos, humanity proposes an alternative to conflict. We offer an alliance, one between equals. Your technology, combined with our unique cognitive abilities, could benefit both civilizations. Impossible, objected Oriel. The Dominion does not form alliances. All species serve under Valkyrie guidance. Then you'll never have Earth, General Rook stated flatly. Our scientists now understand enough about your technology to develop effective countermeasures. Any attempt at conquest would result in mutually assured destruction. Admiral Thaxos remained silent, calculating. Finally he spoke. Perhaps an exception could be made. Your species' cognitive uniqueness presents opportunities the Dominion Council might find valuable. It wasn't capitulation, but it was the beginning of something unprecedented in Valkyrie history. Respect. As the conference adjourned for the day, Thaxos approached Kalinov privately. There is something you should know, he said quietly. The 17 harmonized species, they were not the first we encountered. What happened to the others? Kalinov asked, though he suspected the answer. They could not be harmonized, Thaxos replied. So they were deemed unworthy of preservation. The implication hung in the air between them. Had humans not resisted, they might have faced extinction rather than conquest. 6 months after first contact, the Valkyrie Dominion established an embassy in Earth orbit, a massive structure that humans privately referred to as the Watchdog. The official alliance remained uneasy, with technology exchanges strictly limited to non-military applications. But Dr. Marek Kalinov couldn't shake what Admiral Thaxos had revealed during the Geneva negotiations. If species unable to be harmonized were destroyed, what did that mean for the 17 worlds under Valkyrie control? Were they truly willing participants, or simply the survivors of a brutal selection process? In a secure laboratory beneath London's Greenwich Observatory, Kalinov and a multinational team of scientists worked to refine their understanding of the psychic resonance technology. Their breakthrough came from an unexpected source, a human neurological condition. Synesthesia, explained Dr. Amara Okoro, a Nigerian neurologist. a condition where stimulation of one sensory pathway leads to experiences in another. Seeing colors when hearing music, for example. We've discovered the Valkyrie technology creates a form of forced synesthetic response between individual and collective consciousness. And humans resist because our brains are too individually wired to form the necessary connections, added Iversdotter. Kalinov stared at their latest simulation. What if we could reverse the process? Instead of blocking the signal, what if we could transmit one that disrupts the forced harmonization? A freedom signal, Okoro whispered. We could potentially liberate the harmonized species. The ethical debate raged for weeks. Did humans have the right to interfere with other civilizations? What would happen to the stability of the Dominion if its control suddenly vanished? Would the liberated species even want freedom after generations of harmonization? Meanwhile, on the Valkyrie homeworld of Walker Prime, the Dominion Council debated their human problem. Surveillance of Earth's communications revealed troubling developments. Humans were advancing their understanding of resonance technology far too quickly. They must be contained, argued Council Elder Zethrax. Their chaotic thought patterns make them unpredictable, dangerous. But valuable, countered Admiral Thaxos. Their cognitive diversity generates innovation at rates unseen in the Dominion. Properly harnessed. They cannot be harnessed. Zethrax thundered. That is precisely the problem. The harmony must be maintained. The Council's decision was swift. Earth would be quarantined, all diplomatic relations suspended, and research conducted to develop a modified resonance array specifically tailored to human neural patterns. Unaware of this betrayal, Kalinov's team made their final preparations. Using a network of repurposed communication satellites, they planned to test their liberation signal on a small Valkyrie outpost in the Kuiper Belt, a proof of concept before attempting to reach the harmonized worlds. The test never happened. Valkyrie warships entered Earth's solar system without warning, their weapons charged. "This is Admiral Palaxos of the Dominion Enforcement Fleet," came the transmission. "Your species has been deemed a threat to harmony. Surrender for processing or face immediate neutralization." Earth's unified defense forces mobilized, but they were hopelessly outmatched. As the Valkyrie fleet approached, Kalinov made a desperate decision. The liberation signal wasn't fully tested, but it was their only hope. "Redirect all power to the transmitter array," he ordered. "We're not targeting the outpost, we're targeting the fleet." "That won't work," objected Iversdotter. "The Valkyrie themselves aren't harmonized. They're the controllers, not the controlled." "True," Kalinov replied grimly. "But their entire command structure relies on technology derived from the same principles as the resonance array. Their ships, their weapons, their communication, all utilizing quantum consciousness interfaces." "You think we can disrupt their systems?" Okoro asked. "I think we can create chaos," Kalinov answered. "And chaos is something humans understand very well." The signal launched, spreading through space toward the approaching fleet. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, the Valkyrie vessels began behaving erratically, some powering down, others firing weapons randomly into space. Admiral Palaxos's transmission cut in and out, doing systems failing impossible. On Earth, military leaders watched in amazement as the fearsome Valkyrie fleet fell into disarray. The liberation signal had worked better than anticipated, not controlling the Valkyrie, but severing their control of their own technology. The aftermath of what became known as the disruption event changed everything. With their fleet disabled and communications systems in chaos, the Valkyrie Dominion faced an unprecedented crisis. For the first time in their history, they retreated. But Dr. Kalinov knew this was only the beginning. The liberation signal had proven effective against Valkyrie technology, which meant it could potentially free the 17 harmonized species. A coalition of Earth nations, acting against the caution of more conservative powers, authorized what they called Operation Prometheus, bringing mental freedom to the dominated worlds. Using data obtained from the disabled Valkyrie ships, Earth scientists constructed a series of quantum resonance beacons capable of faster-than-light transmission. These would carry the liberation signal to the harmonized worlds. Admiral Thaxos, who had remained on Earth during the failed invasion, made a fateful choice. Seeing the Dominion Council's decision as a betrayal of his own principles, he provided critical star charts and information about each controlled species. "What you must understand," he explained to the human coalition, "is that these species have been harmonized for generations. Freedom may be as traumatic as it is liberating." Kalinov nodded gravely. "We've considered that. The signal includes embedded cognitive support protocols, a gradual awakening rather than an abrupt one." The beacons launched, spreading across the stars toward the 17 worlds. On Earth, humanity waited, knowing they had potentially upended the power structure of a significant portion of the galaxy. 3 months later, the first responses arrived. Crude communications from species relearning their individuality. The Brakmar insectoid beings whose collective consciousness had made them particularly susceptible to harmonization, sent images of their world in turmoil, but also celebration. The crystalline Zovians transmitted harmonic sequences that translated to both gratitude and confusion. Not all reactions were positive. The Tellurians, who had been under Valkyrie control for millennia, experienced widespread panic as their harmonized consciousness fragmented into billions of individual minds. Their planetary government collapsed, and civil unrest spread. Did we do the right thing? Dr. Iverstotter wondered as they monitored the unfolding chaos across multiple worlds. "Freedom always comes with pain," Kalinov replied. "But yes, I believe we did." The Valkyrie response was swift and brutal. With their remaining forces, they attempted to re-establish control over the nearest harmonized worlds. But something unexpected happened. The formerly subjugated species fought back. Though technologically dependent on Valkyrie systems, their newly awakened minds proved remarkably adaptable. On Valkyr Prime, revolution stirred. A faction of the Valkyrie population, led by dissident scientists and younger leaders, including Lieutenant Oriel, challenged the Dominion Council's authority. They had studied humans and recognized a fundamental truth. True advancement came through diversity of thought, not forced conformity. 1 year after the disruption event, a new interstellar assembly convened, not on Earth or Valkyr Prime, but on neutral territory in deep space. Representatives from humanity, the reformist Valkyrie faction, and delegates from the formerly harmonized worlds gathered to forge a new path forward. Admiral Thaxos, now considered a traitor by the Old Dominion, but a visionary by the reformists, addressed the assembly. For eons, the Valkyrie believed that harmony required uniformity, that peace demanded the sacrifice of individuality. We were wrong. The humans showed us that true strength lies in diversity, in the beautiful chaos of unique minds working together by choice, not compulsion. Dr. Kalinov stepped forward to stand beside him, and we learned that freedom without compassion can be its own form of cruelty. Our responsibility now is not just to liberate, but to support and connect, not through forced harmonization, but through understanding and respect for our differences. The Galactic Cooperative was born that day, an alliance of free worlds united not by psychic control, but by mutual interest and respect for cognitive sovereignty. The psychic resonance arrays, once tools of subjugation, were repurposed as translators, helping bridge the vast differences between species' thought patterns. Humanity, once an isolated species on a small blue planet, had become something unexpected in the cosmos: liberators, disruptors, revolutionaries. The species that could not be controlled had broken the controllers, not through superior force, but through their chaotic, beautiful, unpredictable minds. And across the stars, beings of all forms began to think for themselves again. The universe, it seemed, was better for the noise.